Hi everybody, welcome back. This is not a don't buy Grand Seikos because they're rubbish video. This is not me brand bashing Grand Seiko. This is me as an ex-Grand Seiko owner telling you to not buy a Grand Seiko. Now, the reason I'm doing this is I have just sold my last Grand Seiko and I would never buy another Grand Seiko again. One of the biggest reasons that I am going to tell you this is purely because the watches are not as good as people are making out in all the YouTube videos. I was that sucker. I got suckered in. I bought a Cherry Blossom thinking it was just as good as an OP Rolex, and it isn't. I then bought a Snowball, as I call it, and it was just too big. And the dial, even though the dial was pretty, everything else on the watch was unreadable. So let's just take it back a step and let me just tell you why you should never spend a penny on Grand Seikos. So first of all, at the time I was buying Grand Seikos, I'll be honest with you, I didn't have any access to Rolexes, and I sure as hell never had access to decent Omegas. So my next best thing was to buy Tudors and Grand Seikos. Now you could say that Tudors were the poor man's Rolex. I agree with you, they're garbage, but that's all I was allowed to buy when I was shopping at Goldsmiths. That's all they would sell somebody like me, was a Tudor or a Grand Seiko, on the future prospect of maybe being allowed to purchase a Rolex. So a lot of these Grand Seikos and Tudors have been sold in the past to help people get into a Rolex. That's a fact. And then people bought into the Grand Seiko luxury market because they felt they were getting a watch as good as a Rolex. It's not as good as a Rolex. Some people are going to say, no, it's not as good as a Rolex, it's better. I was that person saying that. Trust me, it's not. One of the biggest problems I found with the two watches I had, which are here for you to see, the Cherry Blossom and I could do this from memory by the way, the SB GE275 limited edition, that's another laugh, was there was too many problems with them. The Cherry Blossom had no lume on the dial and it was made of titanium, which I love, but the bracelet after 5 minutes put on your wrist would feel like it was shrinking. I don't know what it was. It just started to get really tight on your wrist, and there's no micro adjustment on the watch. Even though there's half links, there's no micro adjustment. And the biggest issue for me was the lume. The lume, zero lume. And then I just fell out of love with the watch, and then I decided to sell it, and there comes the rub. I couldn't sell that watch for a fair price. I ended up taking £4,250 net, and that was a dead loss of £1,900. I'd only owned the watch a year. Now you could argue, well, you should have kept it then, shouldn't you? You're right, I should have kept it. But that's what happens. As your tastes change, you decide you want a different watch. And if you've been stupid enough, like me, to purchase a Grand Seiko and you don't like it anymore, you're about to lose your ass moving it on. Now, Silver Cloud, the day after I got paid the 4,250 for selling the watch, somebody was selling it on Chrono24 for that exact price, which means that poor sod was about to get even less than me. He was about to take an even bigger loss, an over £2,000 loss on his Cherry Blossom, as they call it. Now, another thing about the Cherry Blossom, and here's where you can get suckered in by Grand Seiko, they're always doing a limited region or a limited numbered edition. Don't fall for that BS, right? The Cherry Blossom originally only was an America only watch, and originally you could only buy it in America, and people actually paid a premium to bring it into the UK. So they paid £7,000 for a £6,000 watch, thinking that they had done really well, till a year later it's available everywhere. Same watch, slightly different serial number. So before you buy a Grand Seiko Cherry Blossom, even pre-owned, for £5,600, you're gonna lose another £1,500. It's a £4,000 watch any day of the week. Don't pay a penny more than 4K if you really have to buy the watch. Right? Now, then we have this watch here, which I've not been able to talk about because I've been trying to sell it. All I want to say about this watch is it was a limited number edition, and it's a bit like Marmite. You either like it or you don't. I personally liked the watch. The issue I had was I couldn't tell the time on it. The 24-hour hand was so well loomed, it was overpowering the watch at night, and I was seeing the wrong time. Maybe because I'm getting old, who knows? And I just thought, right, I'm going to move you on. Again, I took a big hit on that watch. Not as big a loss on the Cherry Blossom, but without working it out, it was a £1,500 loss on Grand Seiko. Now, the reason I've come on here is you've got Kevin O'Leary, multi-millionaire, pumping out that Grand Seiko is amazing. Grand Seiko is up and coming. Grand Seiko makes amazing watches, and you know, for £7,000 you're getting a fantastic watch. That's because he's on the Creedor bandwagon, where you have to plug Grand Seiko to get Creedors. Just be careful, because he's plugging Grand Seiko for a reason. He's even telling producer Michael how great they are, and they are great watches. But please don't do what I did. Don't buy one because you can't get a Rolex. Don't buy one because you've been told how great they are. I mean, they're okay, but there's one big problem with these watches, a mega problem that nobody talks about. It's an assumption that you'd already know this. If anything goes wrong with that watch, or you need that watch servicing, guess what, guys? It's got to go all the way back to Japan. I just had a watch serviced by Omega. They bumped me up from the usual 6 months. I think I waited 3. What do you think the time on your watch going to Japan and back would be? It would be probably forever. Don't buy a Grand Seiko unless you're 100% sure you're keeping it. And I was, by the way, I was 100% sure I was keeping both of them, because I bought 2 of them bad boys. And if you're not going to listen to me and you're going to go ahead and buy this Grand Seiko that you love, buy pre-owned. Whatever the hell you do, don't buy a brand new Grand Seiko. There are loads and loads and loads of Grand Seikos out there for $1,000 less than retail, like 4 months later. True story. I nearly bought another Grand Seiko. I almost did, but it was such a good deal. It was the white birch. It was the latest version. It's not really the white birch. It's just another adoration of the white birch, but it was the spring dry version, and it was pre-owned, and it had already taken a $3,000 hit. So in my mind, at the price it was, I would only lose a little bit more, but I was still going to lose. At the fantastic £3,000 less than current MSRP, I would have still lost money if I sold that watch on. And I fully intended, yes, I've always wanted this white birch. I'm going to keep this watch forever. Down the road, if I sold it, I'd have lost again. So to sum up, don't believe the hype. Do not buy a Grand Seiko unless you are buying pre-owned and you're 10 million % sure you're never going to resell it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll catch you on the next time. The next one.